The first interesting statistic is that there was a 1,900% rise in the searching of staycation in Hong Kong. Yup, 1,900. Unsurprisingly, Hong Kong did in fact have the highest number of searches for this phrase in the entire world during that time. What a year 2020 was. The COVID-19 pandemic swept over the world in what seemed like a flash of lightning. But the ensuing responses we had to take made us feel like time was anything but moving quickly. Although lockdowns and restriction on our interactions with others and movements outside our residences were definitely effective in slowing and reducing the spread of the deadly virus, it presented people with a whole new set of challenges most of us never saw coming. So, what did we do during last year's lockdowns? Well, actually, many things. Google's Year in Search 2020 report for the Asia-Pacific region, which compared search data between the start of November 2019 and the end of October 2020, with data from the previous year, that is the start of November 2018 and end of October 2019, stated 5 categories that picked up in people's searches throughout the year. These were, firstly, individual matters, which includes searches on people's individual beliefs and experiences. Secondly, higher purpose, which were basically searches looking for ways to do good. Thirdly, whole selves, which comprised of searches related to interaction of roles like employee and parent for parents working from home, as well as for food preferences based on beliefs, such as meat-free food. Fourthly, sweet relief, which were searches for ways to happiness, be it small pleasures to experiences such as staycations. And finally, future proofing, which is a category of searches that people performed in seeking to control their future, from achieving economic stability like new skills to learn and side hustles, to health management. Google's Year in Search 2020 report for Malaysia, which looked at data from January to December 2020, as compared to 2019, showed similar patterns, although with different search phrases being looked up. While these reports are mainly designed for brands to adapt consumers' new wants, preferences and needs, it is interesting to look at it from the perspective of how and what we were thinking about and going through, in turn influence what we did. In today's video, we look at some of the interesting statistics presented in these reports and also some other things people did during what can only be described as one of the weirdest and challenging times in modern history. The first interesting statistic is that there was a 1,900% rise in the searching of staycation in Hong Kong. Yup, 1,900. Unsurprisingly, Hong Kong did in fact have the highest number of searches for this phrase in the entire world during that time. Surprisingly, however, Hong Kong never actually went into a lockdown throughout the pandemic last year. Though sadly, earlier this year they did have to impose one on the Jordan district with a sharp rise in COVID cases there. Another country whose citizens showed a rather significant rise in interest for a specific or something to do in their downtime was Japan, with a 700% increase in searches for drive-in theaters. They were not alone. Drive-in cinemas exploded in popularity all over the world, from Dortmund, Germany to Seoul, Korea, from Tehran, Iran to Vilnius, Lithuania and Ocala, Florida in the US. Who would have guessed a blast from the past might well bring some light in the darkness that was and still is the pandemic. Only fitting, since cinemas literally project light. Besides these experience-based relaxation-focused activities, people also showed increasing interest in small pleasures, such as a quarter rise in searches for chocolate in Pakistan compared to the previous year, 125% rise in searches for gaming chairs in Thailand, and a 65% rise in searches related to plant accessories such as racks for pots in the Philippines. These three things, chocolate, gaming, and plant care, all contribute to rises in dopamine and serotonin in our bodies, chemicals that play important roles in a positive mood. Therefore, it is unsurprising that we would seek out all these small pleasures to feel a kick of happiness. Another sweet relief surge people's interest rose in was in the realm of sharing love. Well, in Australia, there was more than 50% increase in people looking for information on adopting a puppy. There was actually a rise in so-called pandemic puppies in many countries. While this meant some puppies who needed good homes found them, a sad reality is that pandemic pups are now being relinquished. Let's hope we learn from this and plan for the future next time we want to bring in a new addition to the family. Speaking of the future, trying to plan and prepare for hard times yet to come was on the mind for many people. Searches on stock investing rose by 35% in Vietnam. Fundamentals of digital marketing rose by a whopping 400% in India, no doubt due to people looking for a new source of income they could still earn during the pandemic-induced lockdowns. Personal health in the future was also on our psyches. From the phrase maintain health, more than doubling in the number of times it was searched for in Indonesia, to huge increases in searches relating to blue light filtering glasses in New Zealand and Australia. The latter was almost certainly due to the increased amount of time people were spending on screens, with working from home being so common that it's gained its own acronym in WFH. In the UK, the BBC's official website states that citizens did the following 8 things in lockdown in order to cope with the strange change in lifestyle. The first was socializing virtually. As social beings, contact with people, and especially people we are close to, is always important. Luckily, with technology, we can still be somewhat social while being socially distant. The second thing was watching films and using streaming services. This is another great thing about technology today, the plethora of entertainment options at our fingertips. It was also found that people within a household were enjoying content together and strengthening bonds. The third thing was expectedly spending more time with the people in the same residence, and perhaps less expectedly with neighbors. However, these extended periods of proximity with others within the residence was not a blessing for some, with abuse and violence compounded by the increased pressure it caused. This was sadly seen worldwide. The next thing Brits did and found helpful was exercising both indoors and outdoors. Furthermore, gardening, reading, and cooking all increased. Besides that, many Brits used their newly found free time to engage in DIY projects and to learn something new. It was also found that many citizens started increasing their expenditure on food as well as shopping locally. Finally, many Brits spend more on home comforts. These small comforts could definitely have made a big difference. Many of these activities and trends were not just seen in the UK, but many places around the world. Closer to home, right here in Malaysia, a large part of our response to the lockdowns was art. The phrase drawing was searched on Google more than ever before in our country, and many people made thank you gifts for the dedicated and heroic frontliners. A young Malaysian artist, Wan Jamila Syaiful Bahri, or Art Jamila as she is professionally known, who also has autism, even won an Asian frontliner themed poster making contest with her piece Our Hero Series 1. Malaysians too engaged in activities such as gardening and exercising, along with picking up some other interesting hobbies. Among them, baking bread, which is a lot harder than it seems, by the way, engaging in homeroom makeovers, and of course, who could forget the Dalgona coffee craze. I hope you have enjoyed my video today. What did you do that helped you get through the lockdown last year? What was something new that you learned about yourself during the lockdown? Please do share with me in the comment section below. The pandemic isn't over, but we can get through it together. Thank you for watching. And if you would kindly hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon, I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, stay safe, everyone.